As First Lady, I believe we need to fight against the cyberbullying. All of the people on the Twitter who are saying the bad things, we need to stop them. We need to make sure that they cannot carry on what they're doing.
Live TV just turned up the heat hotter than a Mar-a-Lago subpoena. Trevor Noah didn't hold back as he unraveled the enigma of Melania and Donald Trump's marriage. Let's just say the tea was absolutely scorching.
Donald Trump was sitting in the living room, turned on the lights. Hi, Melania. I saw what you said about me on the news. It was very...
From awkward hand swats to side eyes sharp enough to end presidencies, Trevor held nothing back. The audience was howling, the internet went ballistic, and somewhere, Trump was probably rage tweeting from a burner phone. Did he say what we were all thinking? Oh, he absolutely did.
The big mystery is, what did the FBI find? Well, according to Donald Trump's third favorite son, the only thing the FBI took was his heart.
Subscribe if you're loving this. Trevor Noah didn't just crack a joke. He shattered the illusion with the precision of a late-night assassin. Cool and collected as ever, he effortlessly unraveled the dynamics of Trump and Melania's marriage, almost like he'd been preparing for this moment his whole life.
Also, I would pay anything to know what he wrote inside that card that he definitely didn't actually get. Like, roses are red, love is a mystery, I had a historic electoral college victory. Why did Trump say he called into Fox and Friends? Because it was Melania's birthday. Like, what does that mean? He's like, honey, I've got a great celebration planned for us today. I'm gonna talk to some TV people while sitting on the toilet. Like, oh, thank you, Donald. My life is a beautiful dream.
And just like that, the studio became a battleground of emotions. Some in the audience clutched their stomachs, others threw their heads back in laughter, and somewhere in the distance, you could almost hear the furious tapping of a tiny-fingered tweet in the making. The moment was electric, a comedic gut punch that revealed more truth than an actual expose. Because deep down, no matter where people stood, they knew.
No, we never did.
He did say some bad things about you on...
I don't know. I don't keep up with it.
Yeah, I do. I keep up with it. Yeah,
yeah, but you have like a feud with him. You have like a real... So here's what I've noticed. Like, Trump's annoyance at people is directly proportional to how big they were when he like focused on the media. Does that...
Blasted across social media at warp speed, spreading like a Mar-a-Lago scandal. Twitter, or X, depending on your level of denial, became a battlefield of memes and fiery takes, while TikTok users worked their magic, splicing it into viral edits with dramatic sound effects. Even mainstream news couldn't resist looping it, non-stop. Headlines popped up faster than Trump lawsuits, each one adding fuel to the frenzy. Some hailed it as the ultimate roast, others called it a reality check wrapped in comedy gold. But one thing was undeniable. Trevor had ignited something unstoppable.
I feel like after a couple of hours, the doctor told her she could go home, and Melania was like, no, I should stay. I should stay until you check everything out. I stay longer. I was like, okay, well, Miss First Lady, since we're keeping you longer, your husband is on his way to visit. Okay, pull the plug. We've tried everything. Pull the plug. It's like, you're not on life support. I don't care. Just try it.
Noah didn't just roast Trump and Melania's marriage. He skewered it, slow roasted it, and served it up with a side of extra seasoning. Anyone expecting him to tiptoe around the subject clearly hasn't been paying attention. He went straight for the jugular, rolling out a greatest hits reel of Trump-Melania awkwardness, laced with just enough truth to sting like a high profile. Divorce settlement.
Trump's hands really couldn't catch a break, because this time, the First Lady gave him the old download too slow, which made me wonder, like, when you watch that, do you think maybe Melania is jealous? Maybe that's what this was about? Oh, now you want to hold hands, Donald? You sure you wouldn't rather be holding that? Oh.
The legendary hand swat moment, you know the one. The world watched in pure, unfiltered joy as Melania publicly smacked away Trump's hand like it was covered in unpaid tax bills. Trevor brought it back in full force, reenacting it with exaggerated precision that had the audience howling. The timing, the disgusted flick of her wrist, the absolute "do not touch me" energy. It was all there, cementing it as one of the greatest relationship rejections of all time. But Trevor didn't stop there. Oh no. He went deep into Melania's Hall of Fame side eyes, those icy, soul-chilling glances that scream, "I'd rather be anywhere else but here." He pointed out how every time Trump spoke, Melania's expression shifted from mild horror to full existential crisis. And just like that, her facial expressions became the punchline. Trevor painted a picture so vivid, so undeniably real, that it was impossible not to see it. Melania, forever trapped in an alternate reality where she must nod and smile while her husband rants about windmills causing cancer. And then, the financial reality check. "If I had $400 million in loans coming due, I'd be trying to cancel the election too," Trevor quipped. He laid it out. Melania isn't leaving Trump because in a divorce, she'd get half of his $400 million in debt. Suddenly, it all made sense. Even Trump's bizarre obsession with Bernie Sanders, Trevor joked that Trump secretly wanted Bernie to win just so the government could bail him out, and let's not forget the post office. Good luck collecting your money when you can't. Even mail him a bill. Then came the knockout punch. The business transaction gone wrong. Trevor suggested that their marriage was less about love and more about a bad investment deal Trump just couldn't escape. He compared it to a failed real estate venture. Melania read the fine print too late, realized she was in too deep, and now just silently waits for the bankruptcy papers. The crowd erupted. Because, let's be honest, the comparison was painfully accurate. But the real beauty of Trevor's takedown wasn't just the jokes, it was the delivery, the smirk, the raised eyebrow, the perfectly timed pause before delivering a punchline so sharp it could slice through a prenup. He didn't just mock their marriage, he exposed the absurdity of it, the undeniable cracks in the gold-plated facade. And while the audience laughed until their stomachs hurt, somewhere in a lavish penthouse, Trump was seething. Somewhere on a designer couch, Melania was silently nodding in agreement. And somewhere on Twitter, or X whatever, the memes were being born. If there's one thing Trump and Melania's marriage has gifted the world, it's primetime awkwardness. And Trevor Noah just threw the ultimate spotlight on it. Their public moments aren't exactly happily ever after. They're more blink. Twice if you need help. The stiff body language, the distant gazes, the forced hand-holding. At this point, even a statue would show more warmth. The internet is still recovering from that iconic hand swat when Melania rejected Trump like an overenthusiastic salesman. And let's not forget her RNC speech moment, reading lines like a hostage while Trump stood beside her like a CEO who just acquired a company he knows nothing about. But the real question is this true love, or is Melania simply fulfilling the final terms of some ironclad contract? Because let's be honest, no prenup in history has ever felt more legally binding than whatever silent agreement these two have. The way Melania barely tolerates Trump in public could be a masterclass in contract negotiations. She shows up, stands there, nods at the right times, just enough to meet the requirements, but never enough to convince anyone she's actually enjoying herself. And those robotic smiles? They scream, "Let's get this over with." Faster than a reality show contestant who knows they're about to be eliminated. Whether it's Melania trailing 5 steps behind Trump or delivering the most unenthusiastic birthday message in history, the evidence is everywhere. Their chemistry is about as electric as a broken toaster. And Trevor Noah just made sure the world sees it clearer than ever. Trump's reaction wasn't just a meltdown, it was a Category 5 social media hurricane. The moment Trevor took a sledgehammer to his marriage on live TV, it was only a matter of time before Trump unleashed a storm of rage, denial, and classic overcompensation. He wasn't about to let some comedian rewrite the story of his perfect union, even if the rest of the world had already seen the cracks in the foundation. Trump, well, no. We were both at the same party, and that's how we met. I went crazy. I was actually supposed to meet somebody else, and there was this great supermodel sitting next to Melania. They were saying, "Look, there's so-and-so." I said, "Forget about her. Who's the one on the left?" And it was Melania. It was great chemistry, great energy. We had a great time. We started to talk, and it was something that was there right away. And just like that, Trump's official version of events was out in the wild, a desperate attempt to plaster over the obvious. But no amount of revisionist history could erase the reality Trevor had just laid bare. The internet had seen too much. The memes were already being born. And the world was laughing. At light speed, Trump's meltdown blasted through Truth Social like a wrecking ball, loud, frantic, and carrying the unmistakable scent of a man who had just been publicly called out in a way that stung. Every word dripped with that signature Trump energy, over-the-top bravado masking a thin-skinned desperation for validation. He didn't just defend his marriage, he insisted. It was the greatest love story of all time. The internet, of course, had a field day, because nothing says secure, loving relationship like a full-blown social media crisis, complete with sweaty desperation and an absolute refusal to let it go. My favorite moment randomly while hosting the show was, I saw, what do they call them? Do they call them truths? That fake Twitter that no one, not even right-wingers, is really on? A truth? I don't know what it is. Anyway, no one cares. The point is, Trump sent out one of his thingies, whatever they're called, and it was like, Trevor Noah was never funny. Jon Stewart was only slightly better. And then he goes on this rant like, these people don't realize if they moved more to the center, like me, they would have more followers. My man, you think you're in the middle? But the funniest part? Someone was like, oh, he said you're not funny. And I was like, yeah, I read that. But I also thought, oh, so you're watching. Meanwhile, over at Fox News, the damage control machine was in full swing. Late-night hosts were running clips, headlines were stacking up, and there was only one way to contain the wildfire: spin, spin, spin. Suddenly, the story wasn't about Trump and Melania's robotic public appearances. It was about Hollywood. Elites attacking a good, hard-working couple. Cue the monologues about unfair treatment, the fake news, hysteria. The carefully curated guest panels featuring so-called relationship experts, who conveniently all seemed to think Trump and Melania were the gold standard of marriage. It was a connection, a chemistry that felt undeniable, a dynamic that seemed effortless, at least in private. Melania once described Trump as a gentleman, revealing moments of tenderness and thoughtfulness behind closed doors. But while Trump was ranting and faux,